Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Chuck, aka DJ Chuck Chisel, and I'd like to welcome you to the reboot of In the Basement with Chuck. This podcast is about music, lifestyle, culture, and family. They say, Chuck, man, where you been for these past couple years? The same place you been, in the house due to the pandemic. Life was lifing, and we got a piece of that action. So I'm back on the scene in full effect. The reason why I'm starting this show is because I feel I have a story to share about life experience, music, and lifestyle culture here in the Twin Cities, which is the place I'm from. My love for music can go back probably to 4 or 5 years old, growing up in a house full of DJs and musicians, with my father being a DJ and my uncle being one of the musicians and the pioneers of the Minneapolis sound. You know, kids dream of being a doctor, lawyer, president of the United States. Me, when I see my dad put that needle on the record, like I said before, man, I was hooked. I had a chance to watch the Minneapolis scene grow on the hip-hop scene as well as the Twin Cities sound. I was fortunate enough to go with my dad to a lot of record stores where he built the relationships to get the music early. I was a roadie a few times when my uncle went to go practice with some of the Twin Cities greats, and I kind of developed at an early age, man, to sneak into parties where I wasn't supposed to be at on the strength of those two. Everything that I do is surrounded around music. Music is my soundtrack to my life, you know, and for the most part, it's the soundtrack to everybody's life. You know, I grew up listening to all the Twin Cities greats on the radios, you know, the Walter Q. Bear Bankses, Smoking Delight, Disco T, the Soul Technicians, Mike Mack, Brother Jules, you name it, I was on it and had my ear glued to the radio as well as what was going on in the Twin Cities. So that helped me develop into the person that I am today. I would show up to every party growing up standing by the DJ booth. Me and my friends were, man, in those days, there wasn't no tweets, no Facebook. Everything was word of mouth. If you heard there's a party going on in St. Paul, man, you got in the car with a few of your homies, man, and you trooped over to see if that party was popping because it was a hip hop party. Or you heard that the dopest DJs in the Twin Cities was doing a party, and man, you would show up, and 9 times out of 10 you would never be disappointed. So shout out to everybody in the Twin Cities that paved the way for a cat like Chuck to be who he is today. Shout out to my Mashwell brothers, Chuck Chisel, Del Dilla, and Big Reese. I know I said myself, but you can't say one without the other. Man, we formed a bond like no other. You know, it's crazy to see a DJ from St. Paul, which is Big Reese, and then me and Dale being from Minneapolis, Northside to be exact, to connect and make things work. Because if you knew the true history between Minneapolis and St. Paul, it's a crazy one. And that was my graduating class as far as DJing goes. So we got our start at KMOJ, Reese doing the morning mix, me and Dale doing the drive time mix, and then we end up linking up and doing a show called Friday Night Live, which actually stemmed from a show that I was put on with the big homie DJ All Naw, aka Mix Nizzle, called The After Party. And it was a show that was based on, it was after party after the clubs let out, so we would be in there from 2 in the morning to 6 in the morning, man, acting a plumb dumb fool with it. So yeah, you had to be there to understand what was going on. Shout out to my sponsor, Gifted Compositions, the owner of Dotado Apparel. You want to check him out on Instagram. That's Dotado, spelled D-O-T-A-D-O, Apparel. Check him out on Instagram, Gifted Comps. He's the owner, where the slogan is, Dare to Live Every Day. If you're interested to being on In the Basement with Chuck and actually growing with Chuck, hit me up at inthebasementwithchuck@gmail.com. Once again, that's inthebasementwithchuck@gmail.com. You can take a look on my wall back here, man, and see a whole bunch of album covers ranging from Prince, Morris Day and the Time, that one right there, Maserati, Heavy D and the Boys, SWV, Salt and Pepper, Compton's Most Wanted, Low Profile, Lady of Rage, Notorious B.I.G., Wu-Tang, Volume 10, Keith Murray, Slum Village, and much, much more. Those are actually album covers. I had a chance, just like many other OGs in the game, to watch the game go from records, cassette tapes, to CDs, to MP3s. Wow. Flavor Flav voice. Wow. So, with that being said, that's the intro to right here to In the Basement with Chuck. Please stay tuned as we rock out more topics, more news, more stories. Just more In the Basement with Chuck. Thank you for tuning in to the intro. Yeah.